Welcome everybody today. This is actually only our second VANAS talks, which is going to consist of interviews with I don't know, living legends, uh, people that are from the industry, the animation industry, and people that work with us, that have ties with us. And this second one is the CG computer character modeler that teaches for us, Stephen Anderson. Big thanks to Stephen. It's a lot of taking time out for their weekend. We're just going to spend a few minutes, guys, going over what we are. We're the Vancouver Animation School, affectionately known as VANAS by the students. So we're www.vanas.ca. We offer one-year diploma courses, and we're focusing today on computer character modeling. So, yeah, there we go. Jake. Again, we're expanding every year, more and more courses, and the industry really, we're the ones that approach us and say, we're not getting enough modelers. It's red hot, the computer animation industry right now. And they asked us, please teach 3D modeling. We need more modelers. That's what we do. We always go to the industry. We ask them, how should the course be run? What should we be doing? All right. We welcome everybody to let us know where they're from. We're an online school, solely online, so you receive 2 classes a week. You can take your classes from anywhere in the world, as long as you have the internet, a computer, a webcam, headphones with a mic, you're set to go. The vast majority of the software that students are using are free to students and schools now, so that's great. When I started learning, no, the computer cost 80 to 100,000 and 70,000 for the license. Now, free. And free is a great price. Here, we'll program this free, so you can watch video if you're interested. Find out who is the right fit for that. There are 4 terms. Each term is 3 months in duration. We're located, our offices are located in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Each live class is 1 hour in duration, and you pick when you'd like to go to school, morning, afternoon, evening, and we'll put together a class and the instructor for you. So that being said, Steve.
Hi, how you doing, Calvin?
I'm great. So I'm going to let you do the majority of talking. Tell us where you're from, what got you into this, where you went to school.
All right. Well, so I'm Stephen Anderson. I'm a 3D modeler. I'm a concept sculptor. I do all sorts of stuff for the entertainment industry. I born in Texas, raised in Utah, now living here in LA in California, and really great life. I went to Brigham Young University for the animation program there, and got my BFA. And it's funny because I'm not the kind of I didn't grow up wanting to be an artist. That wasn't my dream job. I went around. I had the stereotypical dreams of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a pilot, or I wanted to be a firefighter, or a policeman. Whatever. But then when I got into high school, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to study reef genetics. And it was really kind of an interesting change for my senior year of high school. A friend of mine invited me to take the 3D animation class that was offered at my high school, which it blew my mind that that would even be something that the school would offer, and even weirder to think that that would be even a viable career. And so I went ahead and I took the class, and I fell in love with it, and and I've been pursuing 3D modeling and the arts ever since.
So when
Um,
you took that class, can you kind of just briefly, did you do a little of everything and then say, hey, I really like modeling, but did you get a chance to do some animation, some lighting, texture?
yeah, yeah, I did a little bit of everything. I had to. We went through the whole process. We kind of mimicked the studio environment where we had to go through from beginning to end and create a short film.
Hmm.
And in fact, I don't think that short film even exists anymore. I don't know where it would be at, but we had to go through. We had to do concept designs. We had to do storyboards. We had to model everything. We had to rig it. We had to texture it. We had to animate it. We had to render and composite it. It was a whole ordeal, and it was really really crazy.
What
Uh,
software are they using at that time?
so we were in Maya, but it was Maya 5.
Hmm.
Maya 5 is what I started off on, which is a long time ago. That was 2006, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean it's come a long way since Maya 5, and right now they just released Maya 2019, and it's really fantastic to see the differences and how it's advanced. Really great
Yeah,
new
the tools for modeling have always, right, uh,
yeah,
been improving. So
yeah,
I
they
think,
definitely push those a lot, and it's helpful. It's really really helpful. Um, let's see. So yeah, so in high school, I was introduced to the BYU animation program, and I saw some of the short films that they did and heard of how well they do in placing people and things like that. And I was like, I gotta go there. So I worked my butt off and got in, but I had to improve my grades. I had been playing soccer and my grades weren't quite to where I needed to be in order to be accepted. It's a private university, so yeah, it's kind of a tricky place to get into. Um, and then once I got in, continued working, was able to. I got rejected a few times before I was let into the animation program, which
wow.
had its own portfolio review submission process, and that was fun.
So, and what did that consist of? What did you have to submit?
Lots of stuff. So we had to submit things like figure drawings, sketchbook. We had to submit coursework. We had to submit animation samples. We had to submit any work from introductory classes. Like we had an introductory 3D. I don't even remember what it was called, but 3D intro to 3D,
Right.
and we had to so we had a Lego Man assignment that we had to do. So we had to
See,
model.
that's good information. Students have to realize just because you're using the computer, you do have to be able to draw.
Mhm.
Additional skills.
Yeah, yeah, and they
Design.
and they definitely wanted to push us in that sort of way of being able to think on both ends of the spectrum of being able to translate be able to translate what we see in real life onto paper
Yeah.
through sketch or other media, and then to be able to take that and translate whatever is in 2D on the page into 3D on the computer. And it's a process, and it's definitely there's a lot that goes into trying to figure out how to observe so that you can translate something into uh, something appealing and something
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think it's a misconception. A lot of people think if you work in 3D, you just touch the computer. And in a studio, there's a lot of people working with traditional mediums to get the ideas and creativity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no such thing as a cool button. It doesn't all happen overnight, and it's one of the funny things. Every once in a while, I get a question about how long does it take to make something, and everybody's always astounded when it takes, several weeks to make something, or when it takes several years to make a movie. It's it's just kind of funny. But yeah.
So when you finished, how long between you finishing school and your first job, if it's not too
Well,
personal?
So this is an interesting thing because it's like like my school does traditionally a really good job at placing students. And when I graduated, the industry was in a little bit of flux. But one of the hard things that I think people don't realize, and that I didn't realize at the time, is how hard it would be to actually get a job out of school. And you're not always going to get the right job, or the job that you want right out of school. I wanted to be a 3D modeler at a big studio, and I just felt like it was going to be super easy because I went to such and such a school, I did such and such a thing, I worked on so many projects, whatever. Um, and that's not the case. When I graduated, I had a job, but it wasn't doing 3D modeling. It was doing storyboarding and freelance, and I did some motion graphics animation, and I did all sorts of stuff, just whatever oddball jobs I could pick up. And that's really kind of just how it goes when you're starting out. Is you just find the jobs that come to you, do the best that you can, and then continue working on what it is that you want to be working in, and figure it out. Get professional feedback, things like that, and that's always been helpful to me um, in bettering my portfolio or bettering my skills. Is talking with industry professionals and asking them questions, asking for feedback, critique, and being able to accept that and take it and really put it into my portfolio.
So
Um,
did you have to move from where you grew up to where you work professionally?
um, Currently, yes. I mean, you kind of just have to follow where the work is. One of the really nice things about being where I'm at right now in Los Angeles is that I can attend events, all sorts of special networking events. Pardon me. Things that happen around here, the ZBrush Summit or CTN or G3, or not G3, E3, E3.
Yeah.
Um, all sorts of
Which
things like
is
that.
it's for games, right?
For games. Yeah, it happens in downtown Los Angeles at the Staples Center every year, and really cool. All the big studios are there. Even a lot of little studios are there, and it's a great networking opportunity, and it's a great way to be able to get inspiration for your own personal projects.
Right. What's the importance of attending these events and meeting people?
The biggest thing is, and especially if you're just starting out, it's a way to be able to connect, to be able to make friends. I feel like the easier, like the more friends that you have, people that you know in the industry, it's better to be able to have your sensors open to what opportunities may be available to you. But it's also a way to be able to get feedback from somebody. Like when I was back in school, the studio that was creating the Disney Infinity game line, Avalanche, up in Salt Lake City. I really wanted to work there, and I interviewed there for an internship back maybe my junior year, something like that. And the man who was the supervisor over the modeling team, he liked my stuff. I didn't quite get the position, but he ended up being a mentor for me. And his name is Chris Wright, really good friend of mine now, and he's been really helpful to me over the years. And and I feel like those sorts of relationships are crucial to a young artist being able to grow and develop and really figure out how to pursue what they want to do, and also how to get better, and if that's something that they want to pursue.
Right, right. It's not just meeting the people, it's like you said, developing these positive relationships because it's so true. The people want to work with their friends. They want to work with people they like.
Yeah.
It's just not, oh, you're great, but I can't stand you. No.
Right.
It's they want to hang out with you, they want to be able to talk with you and get along with you. Correct me, if I'm wrong.
No, that's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. So that's been one of the biggest helps, um, getting out to those events so that I can get good network, good friends that I can ask about opportunities or ask for feedback or whatever it may be.
I mean, there's all kinds of things in, especially if you're in Southern California and you're in the LA area.
Mhm.
The union offices are located there.
Yep.
Conventions go on, screenings go on,
Yeah.
right? Studios invite you, even if you don't work for the studio, you could be invited to attend a look at the development work we're doing for this next feature, or
Right.
come and see our film for free. It's like, hey, I like that.
Right. And even at that, it's like I have a good friend that is working at DreamWorks right now. When he was first getting started out, um, he got into what's the name? I can't remember. Digital Domain. He was at Digital Domain,
The effects
and
house.
yeah, and it's an effects house, and he was doing camera tracking, which is a way to be able to match up the graphics with the live footage and things like that.
Hmm.
And that wasn't what he wanted to do, but by networking, he was able to go ahead and connect with the people on the modeling team and get little modeling jobs for Digital Domain, and eventually got to start working as a modeler for Digital Domain before he transferred over to a different company. And so networking is really really quite powerful.
Right?
So
And that's a great tip, especially for your first jobs, guys out there. Get into the studio. That you're not doing exactly what you want to do. Don't worry. Get your foot in because that's where promotions come from within first, right? They, they know that you show up on time and that you good worker and good attitude.
hmm
Just don't go hire some unknown person first. They will hire you if you're already there at the studio.
yeah, yeah, and it's definitely a good way to be able to get your foot in the door for sure. Uh,
So your career, how did it progress?
so from there, so living up in Utah, I mean the industry isn't very heavy in Utah as it is in many places, and luckily, well, so work for me up in Utah kind of dried up. Um, and so one year, a few years ago, we decided to just kind of take a chance, come out to LA and try to find work, do some networking, figure out if there was anything that I could do that was remotely related. And um, while I was out here the first time, I got work as a fine arts sculptor in East LA, and got to do a lot of prototyping. I got to learn about 3D printing, and I really got to dig my claws into ZBrush and start to really uh, form this deep bond with ZBrush and the software, and that was a lot of fun. It was a challenging experience because my supervisor was very very particular about certain things, which it's rightfully so, especially since her name was attached to everything, and so it was a good opportunity for me to be able to grow and develop as an artist because I had quick turnarounds instead of having you know a month, 2 months to be able to finish something for my portfolio. I had to turn something around in a week or less. Um,
Yeah, so true. If I could just butt in for one sec,
yeah, sure.
I think students don't often realize it's not just a art, a skill, a craft. It's a business being in the animation industry,
hmm
and ones that can turn stuff out quickly are often even more important than the ones that do amazing job but are way too slow.
Right, right, right. And that's something that when I was in high school, my dad encouraged me to get better at is working quickly, because I was taking art classes, I was drawing, I was painting, I was doing things like that. Um, but he noticed that I was, I'd be spending, all nighters on weekdays, trying to finish up my portfolio work for class and for my advanced placement class portfolios and whatnot.
Mhm.
Uh, and he said that if learn tricks, learn shorthands, learn ways to be able to make it look just as good, but twice as fast. Um, and I feel like that's a practice that's going to be something I need to continue to do the rest of my life, but and something that'll be tricky to really get the hang of. But it's something that I feel like will definitely benefit me personally and any employers that I have and I feel like it's something that everybody can benefit from is learn how to work quicker, but learn how to keep your quality up.
Yeah,
Learn the
yeah,
tricks.
yeah. Learn to prioritize. If,
Yeah, learn to prioritize too. Yeah, absolutely.
or you make sure you hit those deadlines. Super important, right?
Definitely important. Definitely important because otherwise people won't invite you back to work. Just helps with your own personal image and how
Yep.
people see you.
Myself, I found even just social events were super important to my career. Being at the party, the Christmas party for the union, people will tell you where jobs exist, and
Mm-hmm.
you go get them, right?
Yeah.
Not just going to the conventions and the screenings, the job fairs. So, uh, you know, opinions on because you sounds like you've worked at small, medium, and large studios. Uh, Pros and cons.
Well, so I guess pros and cons. So let's see.
What you like, what you don't like, or just
I
talk about what you
really
like.
I really, really like collaboration. I feel like collaboration, working in a team, it's helpful because you're able to get feedback, you're able to bounce ideas off of people, and people are able to ask you questions as well. And I feel like that helps to kind of grow those relationships, those professional relationships. One of the tricky things um, about the industry is that there's a quick turnaround, and I'm not just talking about like you have to create an entire prop or entire object in a single day. I'm talking about you might only be at a studio or at a place for a single project, and then you have to move on because they just don't have something for you to work on next. Um, so it becomes kind of a tricky thing. You always have to be networking and keeping your sensors, you know, open so that you can be aware of what's going on, so that in case somebody says, hey, I'm sorry, next week we don't have any more work for you to do. Thanks for what you've done. That you can jump onto something else or know somewhere else that you can go to. Having freelance is a good thing. A lot of people will go through and will freelance when we're in the industry, or will teach, or will do things like that as a way to be able to keep our skills sharp. To be, oh hey, look at that! It was sideways. um, being able to keep our skills sharp and being able to stay connected and being able to pay it forward. You can't really ever give back a whole lot per se. I mean, there are people that have been incredible mentors for me. Like this guy's Chris Wright that I told you about earlier.
Hmm.
Uh, Great guy, has been tremendously helpful, but I don't know that there's ever going to be a way for me to be able to pay him back. And so the best thing I can do is pay it forward.
Yeah, and that you are putting your best effort when you go on his recommendation. There's nothing worse than
Mm-hmm.
someone you say is great, and then they just go and they, you know, they fail. Right? They don't work hard. They don't show up. They goof
Yeah.
off. whatever.
No, it's totally true. That's totally true. That's totally true. So, from that standpoint, working in the industry is working on site is fantastic. It for me personally, it makes me feel fueled, makes me feel energized, and more like I can contribute because I know better how to contribute because I can collaborate more closely with people. The A lot of things that will happen when you're freelancing, when you're working from home, is that there are so many things that are trying to get your attention, whether it's, family or pets or chores or the shower. I don't know. Sometimes you feel like maybe you have to shower and get some of the grime off of yourself. It just you've been sitting for a few days and you start to smell yourself.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is. It is a difficult thing to be that disciplined that you can work at
mhm.
home.
Yeah, because there are just so many things trying to get your attention. Figuring out how to feed yourself and eat and pay rent. It's a real struggle. And so working from home, it does offer you flexibility, but it's also challenging from that standpoint that you do have to figure out how to make so many different things work. Um, you have to pay for your own software licenses. You have to, because like I can't use a student version of Maya or a student version of Photoshop or anything like that to be able to do freelance work.
Right.
It's not legal. So I have my own versions of ZBrush, Photoshop, Substance Painter, all the Adobe suite. It's I have it all at my fingertips so that I can use it freely. I can use it as I will, as I need to, because I've paid for those professional licenses. Yeah, keep it legal. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this guy right here is super cool. So one of the things that I find helpful to me is finding portfolios and work that is inspiring. This guy is Tim Miller. He's not very public, if you will. He's a very quiet guy. He doesn't post a lot of himself, but he does incredible work. He does a lot of statues for DC Collectibles. He did all the Bombshell series, um, but I got to meet him at the ZBrush Summit and got to connect with him really well. And he was just well, first he was really quiet and really reserved, and then he just really opened up and he just really just I mean, we bonded like brothers. It was awesome. Um, and finding people like that, so humble, and he was willing to look at my work, and he gave me some awesome feedback, and I mean we've developed a good friendship and a good professional relationship for years to come now. So really helpful thing to be able to go out to these conventions, to these events. So yeah.
Yeah, myself, I'm a huge comic book nerd, and you find that quite a few people in the industry are into these things that now it's the mainstream, where their technologies reach that level where Batman is now a movie, right? X-Men
Yeah.
are a movie. We can do the effects, we can do the modeling, right?
Right.
It's a great time. When I would work for Disney, they wouldn't let you submit a superhero idea, and now that's what they do for a living.
They bought the superhero idea.
Um,
So those are great films. So it's always interesting. Oh, this is Zach Petrock. He's another one of my mentors. He's the supervisor. He's like the head of the modeling department at Disney Feature. I got to do a presentation with him at the ZBrush Summit this year,
mhm.
and that was a tremendous opportunity and experience in which we worked on some project work together, and we prepared a bunch of material for this presentation. And I mean, to this day, I mean, we're still we text back and forth, whatever. But it's just really really fun experience. Here's kind of an image of being able to collaborate and being able to sit together. This is when I was at Warner Brothers
Hmm.
at WB Games. This is kind of what dailies looks like. We sit around a large screen and we figure out what we need to get better at, what we need to improve, and
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 where's this located? Warner Brother Games.
this particular studio is in Salt Lake City, Utah. This is the studio that had made the Disney Infinity games,
Yep.
and when Disney shut down Infinity, Warner Brothers bought the studio, and
I love the
yes,
figures that they
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a ton of them personally.
They're- I love them personally.
I would have kept buying them if they hadn't gotten rid of them, but or if they hadn't stopped producing them. But
So let's open up to people that are attending. Please text us some questions. Okay, I'm going to just throw up a small and see if Stephen can answer your questions. Do you belong to a union?
yes, and it depends on what you do. But the union that I belonged to, when I was working at DreamWorks, I joined the Animation Guild, and it's a phenomenal blessing. Being part of a union is really helpful to an artist, so it's really good.
I mean, just the health coverage. It's part of the motion picture union, the Animation Guild, and you get pretty incredible medical coverage. For if you're working in the States and you don't have medical coverage, you could lose your house, right? um,
You can lose all sorts of stuff.
um, Question regarding Drew Adams. I don't know who Drew Adams is.
Yeah, I don't know who Drew Adams is either. I know a lot of people by the name Adams, but no, Drew Adams, I'm not familiar with. A good
Uh,
book to
do you
buy.
recommend any books about modeling?
There's one. There's one called Modeling. It has. Let me grab one real quick, actually. Oh, this one too.
I find the majority of people that are really um, top quality professionals, they own lots of books, guys. Okay.
Tons of books. I mean, you can see Calvin's shelf back there.
Got rid of half my books, but yeah, I can point to my. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I've got mine over there in the corner behind the drying rack. But yeah, so these are a couple that I really like. This is one of my favorites, digital modeling. This is a guy that went through Pixar, and it's really, really helpful. His name is William Vaughn. Okay, and that's how you spell that, William Vaughn. Okay, unless I'm saying that wrong, in which case, I'm pretty sure he won't sue me. And then Stop Staring. This is another great, great book. And both of these have very different. This is by Jason Osipa.
hmm
Really fantastic references. Um, but plus, there are all sorts of other resources. Things like Gumroad or YouTube. I like being able to go on and see processes. I follow a lot of people on ArtStation or elsewhere that where people are posting tips and tricks and whatnot. It's really really helpful. So yeah,
One piece of brief advice regarding modeling, 3D modeling.
learn how to observe form.
Just three
Form,
dimensional.
yeah, form and volume, making 3 dimensions readable with your models. That's the biggest trick, and learning about edge flow. So form and edge flow, and how those will work together in making something deform correctly when it's animated.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's really tough. Drawings are just composed of so many cheats, right? They're flat, so they aren't dimensional at all. And when you have to turn something into totally 360 degrees, That's a lot of work until
Yeah.
you've actually gotten some clay or gone into a 3D software. You have no idea. What does this guy look like from the top, from the back?
Yeah. And I think that figuring out by studying other things, like if you're modeling a character, it's easier to model a character if you've studied um, figures and figuring out other other designs or watching movies or things like that. Every chance you have to be able to study how things look, how forms happen, how a person or a character structure, all those things. Anatomy is huge.
Yeah.
Um,
I had a great instructor that really forced learning how to simplify it too, because and that's what I love. I don't really get excited about seeing something that's photoreal. Take a photograph or film it if you want perfect reality. But how do you simplify a leg, the muscle? Where's the bone?
yeah, and I think that's one of the really great attractions to Disney, is that people like to see how things are stylized and um, how things are designed,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a challenge. It's something
That's the
different.
exciting thing. I love the different styles that exist. Things are boring if there's only one style, right?
Yeah.
No matter if it's painting or drawing or modeling,
Yeah.
or goes on and on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you teaching modeling at VANAS? Yes, currently I'm teaching. Um, Kind of teach a range of things. I've taught some modeling classes in Maya. I've taught some sculpting in ZBrush, and that's pretty much, yeah. And I've done some stuff for Fame. So if any of you have any kind of involvement or have heard of Fame, I've done some stuff with that too. Um, and there goes a plug for that Mario just put into the chat. So yeah. I saw a comment up above, something about son is 11 years old, is already passionate about 3D modeling. What advice can you give him to get into modeling at a young age? Um, One of the cool things that you could do, modeling is very informed by your understanding of structure and form. And so one of the helpful things that I've been able to do, is to work with clay some. And clay isn't digital, but it helps to understand form and volume and structure. And so there's that, and then there are also free resources to be able to both learn about 3D modeling, such as YouTube and things like that. But there are also opportunities like Mario was talking about through Fame. So that would be a good opportunity to be able to go and look at some of that. But there are also free trials of software. If he's really interested in it, he should go through and try out different software packages. Blender is a free package, a free 3D application. And it's gotten a lot better since I first tried it. um, Maya has a free trial. ZBrush has a free trial. And I think that the more he's able to go through and try out those different things, the better he's able to develop himself and figure out what he likes and what he's able to do.
right. Regarding the software, students have to learn to lose the fear of, if I started with Blender, I don't want to touch anything else,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Maya or whatever you're using, 3D Studio Max, it's just another tool to do the same thing.
yeah,
They all have the same buttons,
yep,
right?
yep. They're different, but they all perform the similar sort of tasks. So
Yeah, you shouldn't definitely turn down a job just because, they're not using 3D Studio Max. It'll take you 1 or 2 weeks to learn where the buttons are, but you
yeah,
did just as good a job.
yeah. Let me see how to make a perfect texture. How do you know if that texture was the perfect one for the 3D model? So the texture, with texturing, you want to make sure that you're telling a story. It's the same thing with a model. When you're designing a character, when you're designing a prop or a vehicle or whatever it is that you're making, if what you're designing is helping to support a story, then you know that you're doing it right. So the texture needs to also support that. Um, have you tried Blender? Yes, I've tried Blender. When I tried Blender the first time, it wasn't very good. It's much better now. I tried Blender for the first time back in 2007, maybe, right after I had started already learning with Maya, and I really like Maya a lot better. I feel like for me personally, it's much more industry standard.
Yep.
Um,
I think about
Everybody uses it.
90% of the industry uses Maya now, probably.
Yeah, yeah, at least, yeah. Um, but yeah, I like its layout. I like its tools.
If you're working for a small studio, you might be expected to know how to model and texture. But once you get to the feature level, you're only modeling, right?
For most places, yeah, and it's interesting. Somebody mentioned UVs earlier. Yeah, so typically the modeler is responsible for their own UVs, which what that is that it's essentially cutting up the 3D model to lay it flats for texturing. It's kind of, you can think of it like sewing patterns. Um, at DreamWorks, we had to do our own UVs. At Warner Brothers, we had to do our own UVs and our own textures. So it really kind of just depends on where you're at. Right now, I'm working for Walt Disney Imagineering, and that's like I don't have to do any UVs or any texturing at all because what I'm doing is for production for the rides for Disneyland Tokyo. So it's a very different sort of environment. It's for manufacturing, not for digital production.
What's
Uh,
what's the location? Is that over in Glendale, Flower Street, or
yep,
where?
Glendale on Flower Street.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, they had their own cafeteria. I used to like going there
Yeah,
occasionally.
yeah, it's pretty nice.
Or Figment down on Circle 7.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
where that's where I'm working at is on Circle 7.
okay, yeah, yeah, they call that because of the news station. They changed their names a bit, but
Yeah.
that's where we used to do feature animation. Was on Flower Street in warehouses, big corrugated steel warehouses that leaked when it rained.
Yeah, the
Um,
sweatshops.
then they made the feature building in Burbank.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and it's a nice building. I've been inside of it once. I haven't really gone very far into it, but yeah, it's a nice building.
mhm. The north, there's another feature building they own on the north end of the valley called North Side. It's even nicer because it is just this big rectangle. all this, all the, all the, all the halls are straight, as opposed to
Are you
South
talking?
Side. That building with the hat,
Yeah.
it's a maze. It
Are you
takes you,
talking about the building up on Tahunga?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did dinosaurs up there. Spent
Oh,
many years doing that.
interesting.
Used to be Skunkworks area building before that. Well, they didn't use the same building, but you know,
That's funny.
650, rocket plane, good stuff. Pretty cool.
Let me see.
Well, we're going to be wrapping it up here, guys. Any last question that Stephen could touch on?
Let's see. Do you have experience with environment or procedural modeling as well? Do you know about prop and world generation differs from character modeling in a major studio? Um, Usually it looks like, for instance, at DreamWorks, everybody is just kind of a modeler for everything. So it depends on what studio you're at. At Disney, it's very specific. So there's a character team and there's an environment team, and the environment team takes care of props, environments, vehicles, everything like that. And then the characters are obviously just characters. Procedural modeling, I don't have any experience with, but it's something that I actually want to learn this year. I'm going to be getting Houdini and figuring out how to do procedural modeling. It's going to be kind of a fun thing. Um,
All right. So huge thanks to you, Stephen, for taking the time out, and as well to everybody that attended today, guys. I know it's our weekends. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us. Look
Yeah.
forward to talking to everybody in the future. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.